Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing an Ancient Warrior deck profile. So I'm really excited for this one because this deck actually just got a whole lot of support in Eternity Code, which I actually got some of the cards early because I ordered them from the UK, because they got the cards on the 30th, and we're not getting them until the 30th of this month, which is kind of interesting, but I'm really excited for this deck because this deck is a really neat budget-based deck. The last time I looked at the card prices, it is pretty budget. It's a really interesting deck that basically revolves around Beast Wars. It reminds me a lot of Fire Fists in a way, but instead of them all being fire attribute, we have wind, and we also have water in the main deck, which is really interesting. So, without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad. Definitely check out the Patreon down in the description because we have some really cool rewards for you guys, like getting a signed card sent to you in the mail, getting your name in the description of every single video, or even getting a requested deck profile just like this one every single month that you are a patron. So, let's get straight on into this. And I will give you guys a quick disclaimer. I am probably going to butcher the majority of these names. And also, if you can tell me what this entire archetype is based around, I'll definitely give you a heart down in the comments. So, for the first card, we're going to be playing a single copy of Ancient Warrior, Ambitious Saudi. This card is a really interesting card. They can actually special summon himself from your hand, because he has the ability that while you control another Ancient Warrior monster, your opponent can target him with card effects, or he can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects either, which is really good as a boss monster. He also has the ability that if a card your opponent controls is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can special summon him from your hand or field. You can send a card from your hand or field to the graveyard to special summon him from your hand. And then when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, and sends it to the graveyard, you can special summon that monster to your field in defense position. That's really good. He can just take any monster your opponent controls and bring it to your side of the field and recruit it, which is really cool. I played 2 copies of Loyal Gongyun. He's really cool too because if your opponent is the only person that controls a monster, then you can special summon him from your hand, which is kind of like a Cyber Dragon-ish effect, and he also protects all of your other Ancient Warrior monsters from card effects. And if your opponent controls more monsters than you can target one monster your opponent controls and destroy it. Really nice effect. I'm thinking about bumping him back up to 3, but for the moment, I still like him kind of at 2 because the deck is really, really tight. Then we play 2 copies of Ancient Warrior Valiant Zhao, or Zhongdi, I don't even know. But he gains 300 attack for each monster your opponent controls. I usually just call him Valiant. He gains 300 attack for each monster your opponent controls, and during your turn only, and you can use each effect once per turn. If you control 2 or more Ancient Warrior monsters, you can special summon him from your hand, and if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can activate this effect. And this card can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. So that's one reason I play him as 2, is because alongside of the Ambitious, he is an awesome boss monster just to be able to special summon out to your side of the field. Then we play 3 copies of Ancient Warrior Masterful Sun Mu. This card is a really good card as a 3 of because he has some really neat effects. That while you control another Ancient Warrior monster, your opponent's monsters cannot target this card for attacks. And it also has the ability that you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. You can send a card from your hand or your field to the grave to add an Ancient Warrior monster from your deck to your hand. So he's a really good searcher. And he also has the ability that if your opponent, if your other Ancient Warrior monster's effect is activated, then you can target one monster your opponent controls and return it to the hand. That is a really good effect because this card is really, really good. Then I played 2 copies of Vitarius Lu Zhong. I think I'm mispronouncing that, but he's a really good card to play in this deck too because he has the ability that while you control another Ancient Warrior monster, your opponent can target this card for attacks, and he also has the ability that if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can send one card from your hand to the field to the graveyard to special summon an Ancient Warrior monster from your hand, which is really good to get him out on the field because if you draw him, any other Ancient Warrior monster, and the Valiant, you can just special summon all 3 of them to your side of the field really quickly, which can help you go into Link plays, XYZ plays, all sorts of stuff like that, which is really, really, really helpful. He also has the ability that when an attack is declared involving an Ancient Warrior monster you control, you get to draw a card, which can net you a little bit more advantage. I played 3 copies of the Graceful Yugioh. This card is really neat because you can target one continuous spell or trap card you control, and send it to the grave. And if you do, you get to add an Ancient Warrior spell or trap from your deck to your hand, we have plenty of Ancient Warrior spells and traps in the deck that are really, really good. And he searches all of those, which is nice. He also has the ability that you can target an effect monster. If another Ancient Warrior monster effect is activated, you can target an effect monster your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end phase of the turn. He also has 1600 attack, which is also pretty nice. We play 3 copies of Deceptive Jaewin. He's really good because you have a really good effect with him. As you can target one continuous spell or trap you control, and then send to the graveyard. And if you do half the attack up to 2 monsters on the field, which is really good. I really like that effect of being able to have 2 monsters on the field. That is super, super helpful to be able to do. And he also has the ability that until the end phase of the turn, and if a card your opponent controls destroy by battle or by card effect, you can target one Ancient Warrior monster in your graveyard except another copy of himself and add it back to your hand, which is a really good effect. Then we play 3 copies of the Ingenious Yugioh. He's really cool. I really like his effect. His effect is really neat because if a card is added from the deck to your hand by a card effect of an Ancient Warrior monster, you can special summon him from your hand. And when a spell or trap is activated, you can quick effect send one face-up Ancient Warrior continuous spell or trap you control to the graveyard and negate the activation, which is really good just to be able to negate cards on the field. He also has the effect of when another monster effect is activated while you control an Ancient Warrior, except another copy of himself, you can quick fix send one face-up Ancient Warrior continuous spell trap to the graveyard, negate the activation, which is also really good. So that's it for the monsters, guys. I don't play the other fire guy, and I actually dropped out one of the water guys because I just didn't feel like with this new support, they were just up to par compared to the new cards. So that's it for the monsters. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Double or Nothing because we have a lot of level 4 monsters in the deck. And a lot of them special summon other copies of other monsters, which is really, really cool to be able to go into Double or Nothing and then just attack your opponent for 10,000. That's really, really, really helpful. Then we play 3 copies of the Ancient Warrior Saga Sun Lu Alliance. This card is really good because if you control an Ancient Warrior monster with 2 or more attributes, which is very pivotal now because we have the fire ones now that we didn't have. We only had wind and water in the last set. You can declare one attribute and your opponent cannot activate the effect of monsters they currently control with the same attribute. Or with that attribute, which is really good because it just blocks an entire attribute from activating effects. It's like skill drain until the end phase of the turn, even if this card leaves the field. And if your opponent special summons a monster or you activate an effect of an Ancient Warrior monster, you can make all Ancient Warrior monsters you control gain 300 attack for each Ancient Warrior monster you can currently control until the end phase of the turn. That's pretty good. Let me play 3 copies of the Ancient Warrior Saga 3 Visitors. 3 Visitors is really good too because during your main phase you can normal summon or special summon an Ancient Warrior monster. If you normal summon or special summon an Ancient Warrior monster, you can target one of those monsters and add an Ancient Warrior monster with a different name from your deck to your hand. And if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, then you can special summon an Ancient Warrior monster from your hand, which is super nice because you play a lot of monsters and this one just brings out extra ones. Then we play 3 of the new Ancient Warrior Saga Bowing of Arrows. Bowing of Arrows is really good too because what it does is you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls and an Ancient Warrior monster you control until the end phase of the turn, half that opponent's monster's attack, and if you do, add the attack to your monsters. It's kind of like Cubic Wave if you guys have ever played Cubics. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, while you control an Ancient Warrior monster with 2 or more different attributes, you can place one Ancient Warrior continuous spell from your hand or deck face up in your field, which is really cool because it can search basically either one of these or the trap. Then we play 2 copies of Fire Formation Tensu since they're all Beast Warriors if you guys didn't notice. And then we play 3 copies of Tinky. Tinky's really good because Tinky lets you add any of them from deck to hand, and then this one lets you normal summon, which is super nice. And then we play 3 copies of Called by the Grave because it just basically stops hand traps, which is super, super nice. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So we do play 2 traps, which has my favorite boy, Valiant, on it, which is 2 copies of Ancient Warrior Saga Defense of Chang Wen. or Changran, which is really cool. I like this card's effect. Basically what this card does is if an Ancient Warrior monster battles, your opponent cannot activate any spells or traps until the end of the damage step, which is kind of like giving them an Ancient Warrior effect. All these cards give each other buffs, which I really like. But this card also has the ability that at the start of your opponent's battle phase, you can send this card from your spell and trap card zone to the graveyard, and then monsters your opponent control cannot target Ancient Warrior monsters this turn for attack. So basically it ends the battle phase. Then, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon an Ancient Warrior from your deck, which could be any Ancient Warrior. That's why I love playing this card at the ratio I do, because it just helps you protect all of your Ancient Warrior monsters, and special summons one from the deck as well, which is a super, super good effect to be able to do. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, I'm playing a single copy of number 60 Timeless. Number 60 Timeless is really good because it can double the attack of a monster, which is super helpful to be able to do because sometimes you just need that double attack or to draw 2 and discard 1. This card just gives you such an advantage in the game, and that's why you play this card in the deck. It's a really, really, really good card, so I highly recommend that you play this card at least at 1. Then we play one copy of Utopia Double. Utopia Double just basically lets you make your Utopia go all the way up to 10,000, which we play multiple Utopias, but I'm just showing you one right now for the engine. For the engine that you're playing with this particular Utopia line, you play a single copy of Utopia and a double or nothing, because what this does is basically makes double or nothing. You basically summon Utopia Double, detach a material from it, then Utopia goes up to 10,000 after you overlay it on top of your opponent. After you overlay it on top of Utopia Double, it goes up to 5,000. You swing at your opponent and negate the attack, and then drop double or nothing, and it goes up to 10,000, which then OTKs your opponent. Then I play Utopia the Lightning package, which is another copy of Utopia, so you play 2 of it. One copy of S Prime, and one copy of S39 Utopia Lightning, which is a little bit easier, but if you think your opponent's going to activate stuff against you, it's a little bit safer to go for this card over the copy of Utopia Double, because this card can make it where it attacks. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects, which is super nice to be able to just go after your opponent for all those additional abilities, where they can't activate anything. One copy of Baguska, just to be able to kind of stall out your opponent if you do need to. Usually you're not going to need to, but this card is just here because it's one of the best rank 4s in the game. Brotherhood of the Firefist Tiger King, because it does work with your fire formations, which is really nice. Abyss Dweller, it does increase the attack of all your monsters by 500 if it has a water monster as a material on it. And it also has the ability that it increases all the water monsters by 500. And then you can detach a material from it and then stop your opponent from using graveyard stuff. Bahamut Shark is really easy to go into in this extra deck because you just detach a material from it and then special summon a copy of Totally Awesome. We have a lot of ways to go for Bahamut Shark because it does require 2 level 4 water monsters. Well, that's great because we play 3 attributes in the main deck, which we have the Graceful, which is a water monster, and we have Masterful Sun Mu, which is also a water monster. So you can use both of them to go for Bahamut Shark, detach a material, special summon Totally Awesome, and then go from there to be able to negate stuff, which is super nice. One copy of Big Eye. Big Eye is really good in here because you can use the Loyal and Valiant to go into this guy to be able to take an opponent's monster just in case you need to. Now, something I'm doing that I wasn't doing in the last deck profile is actually playing Link monsters in here, which we're going to be getting a Link monster in the next set, I believe, in Rise of the Duelist for this actual archetype, which is interesting to me. Then we're going to be playing a single copy of Boral Sword just to OTK, one copy of Unicorn just to balance stuff if you need to, and a single copy of Nightmare Phoenix just to be able to pop spells and traps. Now you can interchange the Nightmare Phoenix out for the Tornado Dragon if you want to, and if you want to go for a little bit less of a Link play, you can change out for a copy of Exciton Knight, which is another option for you guys if you want to put those in instead of the Link monsters. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a really fun deck to play around with. I highly recommend, if you liked Fire Fists, you're going to love Ancient Warriors because this deck is insanely good and it's just going to keep getting better because they keep announcing support for this deck. And again, I will reveal to you guys, because I said at the beginning of the video, that I would. So basically what these are based on is the tale or the romance of the three kingdoms. If you guys have never looked it up, it's a really interesting story, so you guys should definitely look that up. That's why they have fire, water, and wind archetype or attributes in here, if you notice. So see how they have the water and the fire and the wind? I just thought you guys would think that was an interesting trivia about the deck, because a lot of people don't know that about this deck. Because when I originally picked this deck up, I was trying to find out what they were about, and it took me a while to actually research it and find out what they were about. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad. Definitely tell me what you think of this deck down in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And don't forget to check out the Patreon. See you later, guys.